I'll tell you guys an interesting fight that's coming up is Derrick Lewis versus Latifi. Now, it's interesting for a couple of reasons. I don't know if you will meet a guy in the sport that you will enjoy meeting. 2-minute interaction, you rub shoulders somewhere. I don't know if there will be a more personable guy in the sport than Derrick Lewis for a fan. Like if a fan could just meet anybody, not for that awe factor, that, whoa, I just met the, just, wow, that was a cool guy. He was very personable, and my day is now better because this guy's energy rubbed off on me. Derrick Lewis has that. Derrick Lewis's attitude is very contagious. So is his smile. I mean, he's just one of those guys. Latifi, I must tell you on a personal level, is amongst the greatest interactions I ever had with a fellow fighter. I was going through the MGM Grand. I ran into Latifi. He stopped me. He was with another guy that wrestles on the Greco team for Sweden. They knew I was a wrestling fan. We had an interaction, paid me some compliments. I paid him compliments right back. But it was just one of those very great meetings where you could tell the guy was being authentic. The guy wasn't going out of his way to try to gain favor so that somebody like me would come say something nice about him or something. This was just a very genuine moment. And Latifi was one of these guys that it was like you'd known him for 10 years. Just one of those guys. Funny story. Can't even prove if it's true. One of my coaches told me they were in Sweden and they were on like a block where the gym that Latifi trains at or something along these lines is at. And all the guys, and Latifi's out standing on the corner, just like hanging out on the corner. And his teammates and the fellow Swedes were saying, oh yeah, that's what he does all day. He just stands on that corner. He just gets himself some fresh air and visits with somebody. And when it's time to practice, he comes in and trains, he showers, and then he goes back out and hangs out on the corner. So I've never really know what to make of that because I've never been to Sweden, though it drew me to the conclusion that Sweden must have some pretty nice weather. It must be not be like it is here in Portland, where the last thing I would want to do all day is go on the corner and get rained on. But the reason I tell you these personal stories with Derrick and Latifi is generally in this sport, it's pretty simple, right? You got a good guy and you got a bad guy. That's generally the story. You throw a bone out there, you let them decide who wants the praise from the crowd and who wants the negativity from the crowd. But generally, as the story goes, that's going to be a large piece of the pie. This is one of those matchups where you've got two really likable characters. And Latifi is very interesting because not only is he going up to heavyweight, he went up to heavyweight, he called for this fight, and by the way, he called out the former number one contender of the world, who just beat the number 4 ranked fighter in the world. I haven't seen the rankings today, but Derrick Lewis just beat Blagoyev, who was ranked number 4. I would assume that means Derrick Lewis is ranked number 4. If I'm wrong by one, I think you still get the point. That's a big call out, and not to mention, that's a big man. Derrick Lewis cuts down to heavyweight. Derrick Lewis was bragging in his last fight about how good he felt because he only weighed 260 and didn't have to cut for the first time ever to 265. He could actually just get up and go get on the scale. Okay, great, good job, Derrick. Either way, message of the story is Derrick weighs 260 pounds. Latifi doesn't. And also, I think it's worth mentioning, Latifi also has height issues for heavyweight. Latifi will now represent the single shortest heavyweight. That's okay. But that then does begin to tell you, if you analyze the numbers, height being one of them, reach being the second thing you have to look at, and weight being the third and ultimate one, Latifi's got to get inside. It's as simple as that. This game plan isn't complex. You don't have to put on your Columbo rain jacket to figure out that Latifi needs to get inside. He's got to get a hold of this maniac. And by the way, it will also help to take a little power off of Lewis's punches. One problem that you have, and I think that Blagoyev found this out, but when you get inside with Derrick and you think you're going to go upper body with him, and he's out there just leaning on you and sounding like he's catching his breath as he's huffing and puffing in your ear, and then all of a sudden he explodes, he'll throw your ass. Derrick Lewis has some good trips. He's got more of a judo presence. I don't think he ever trained judo, but he has more of a judo technique to some of his upper body attacks than he does a wrestling technique and base. The other thing with Derrick Lewis, and guys get stuck in the same position, and I really don't know how. Quite frankly, if you just go watch 2 or 3 of Derrick Lewis's fights, his position is going to be exposed to you, but don't pass his guard. Don't ever go to side control on Derrick. If you ever end up in side control, change it. Even if it means you got to go back down the gear, step back over, get in half guard, jump all the way over, advanced position, go to mat. Do not be in side control. I don't know how many guys Derrick Lewis has to lay there as they try to hold him down and manipulate his arm and hit the body and slip a knee in and catch their breath, and then he explodes all the way to his feet. It is one of his best positions in all of fighting. One of Derrick Lewis's best positions in all of fighting is getting up out of side control. If you end up on Derrick, stay in guard. Feel free to pass to half guard. I would not encourage you to not go to full mount if that's a position that you can get. Do not go to side control with the beast.